Let's see what we got here. Okay. So it's gonna be like that, huh? That's right, we're doing this. Hey everyone, I'm Elfowls, and welcome to WCL Season 15 quarterfinals. So yeah, the season obviously ended a while ago, and I am meant to cover my playoff run, but after the season ended, I sat down to make this video, and I just didn't have the motivation to do any recording or editing. Yeah, I was really burned out. Remind me never to do content for 2 seasons at once, ever again. So I was kind of just going to let this video go, but you know what, Mr. Steve Chuck, you just happened to catch me in a video making mood, so here's quarterfinals. Yep, pretty late, but I do actually think this is a pretty interesting battle, so I think it'll be a good one. Hope you enjoy. Quarterfinals here was up against Hitmonjon and the Close Combat Club, my Week 2 opponent of this season. He definitely started off shaky, but he ended his season really strong with wins over some really good players. With that said, the teams are the exact same, and if we're being honest, my sets didn't change very much for the rematch, so I'm going to try to make this a really quick team builder. Starting off, got Regieleki, has the same exact set as last time. Reflect is still very nice to stifle hits from Annihilate and Iron Treads. The only difference is that we've changed Terra Fighting to Terra Ground. That's mostly a reaction to Terra Electric Annihilate, which is what John brought last time. Terra Ground also is still just as good at hitting Iron Treads, and it is worse against Brute Bonnet, but I think after his performance in the matchup last time, Brute Bonnet shouldn't show up to the rematch. Up next, Greninja is also rocking essentially the same set as last time. It's a Specs Protein Breaker, but instead of U-turn for pivoting, we have Toxic Spikes. I think that if I can find an opportunity to set them up, the poison could be really nice against Annihilate in particular. Other than that, Greninja is just a nice, fast, early breaker. Next up, we got Tinkaton. This set is also pretty familiar, but I've just removed any speed investment from last time to become a fully Spadef set, just to better check threats like Tornadus and Hoopa. I've moved Encore onto this set. I think it was on Dawnfan previously, to help check Bulk Up Annihilate, and Thunderwave is here to slow down Tornadus. Moving along, there's that Dawnfan. Also the same set basically, fully defensive to switch into Annihilate and Iron Treads. Only change here is that of course Encore went over to Tinkaton, so now I'm running Stealth Rock on Dawnfan, since Tinkaton's no longer running that. Alright, last 2 sets, and these are actually going to be new. Replacing Salamence from last time, we have Ogerpon as a physical attacker. This change was made because I wanted another Mon that can actually threaten Alomomola from full, and Ogerpon's Ivy Cudgel can certainly do that. Knockoff and U-turn just kind of fit in to take advantage of any switch-ins to Ivy Cudgel, and Encore gives me one more way to lock down Bulk Up Annihilate. We have enough speed to outrun Iron Treads, which Ogerpon checks decently well with its Earthquake resistance, with max attack, and the rest going into defense as filler. Leftovers gives me a little extra longevity as an offensive pivot. And then here's the last slot. If you watched Week 2, you might remember the defensive Furgraph that completely stonewalled Annihilate, but if I know one thing about this rematch, it's that John isn't falling for that again. I think Annihilate cannot just be that same standard bulk up set this time. I'm actually quite confident that it's going to be a U-turn pivot set with something like Scarf, Band, or Assault Vest. Initially, I was building a Weakness Policy Agility Farigiraf to capitalize on that U-turn, but I decided against it because there's just a little too much risk in that set, kind of just falling flat, you know? But you know what punishes U-turn Annihilate much more consistently? Rocky Helmet Quillfish. This set is all about spreading damage onto Annihilate without boosting Rage Fist. If it ever touches me, that's Helmet Chip, plus a chance to proc Poison Point, and I can respond with Taunt to stop Bulk Up, Toxic to chip it down, and Pain Split to keep myself healthy. We're a max HP set with a lot of defense, and enough speed to outrun Annihilate doing a little bit of creeping. That is going to do it for the team. Let's check out how it works in the battle. Alright, here we are in the battle of my opponent's Springs. We have that big 4 on the left that I was expecting, plus Colossal and Hoopa showing up as the lower tiers. That Colossal is Terra Dragon, and Annihilate is Terra Ground. So what does that mean for us? I definitely expect Annihilate to be the Terra of choice, which makes Greninja and Ogerpon very valuable to hit it super effectively. Meanwhile, Regieleki is threatening to all the other top tiers, and Tinkaton is built pretty well as a Hoopa check, so we're not looking too bad. As for the lead, I just like getting off some big damage early, so let's go with Specs Greninja. Good luck, have fun to John. We're going to lead into the Colossal, which is amazing. Clicking Surf is very tempting, but I think either an early Terra Dragon or a switch to Alomomola is pretty likely here, so I'll hedge by clicking Dark Pulse, which should still do solid damage. And Colossal just stays in to take it. Takes some decent chip, but rocks do go up. That's kind of unfortunate. Sucks that I didn't just go for Surf there, but the nice thing is that Dark is still unresisted on my opponent's team, so I can kind of just spam this. I'll 3-hit KO the Colossal if it decides to do anything but switch out. So I'll just go ahead. We get the Annihilate, and 29%. That is a bulky Assault Vest set. Makes sense, I guess. Well, we gotta cue the plan here. Quillfish in. We're going to take the U-turn as expected, and Rocky Helmet does get the ape down to half already. No poison point though, a little unfortunate. It is going to pivot out to Hoopa, which is a big threat to Quillfish, and of course I have Tinkaton to deal with it, as it's going to go for a Trick Room. I can't say I was really expecting that. I feel like John has a decently fast team, but I guess this is fine. I have a very free knockoff to click here, and I'm not too threatened by anything Hoopa can do. It is going to outspeed in the Trick Room, crit the Shadow Ball and activate the Citrus Berry, and I respond with a crit knockoff of my own. So strange interaction with double crits. I would have loved to preserve health on Tinkaton or the berry, but I suppose I got the 1-hit KO in return, so I guess I'll call it even. Sure. With that though, the Annihilate does come back in, and without thinking too much, I bring Quillfish in as my check, but of course it is Terra Ground, so it's going to click Terra Blast for big damage. Side note, Annihilate learns Earthquake, so I don't know why it's running Terra Blast here, but I guess that's good for me because I survived the turn. In hindsight, switching to Quillfish here was kind of dubious. A ground coverage move would be good on that turn for Tinkaton anyway. Considering it's ground Terra, I could have seen that coming. So maybe I could have gone Ogerpon or Dawnfan. I can at least see if I underspeed in Trick Room. If the Annihilate has any significant investment, more than like 24 EVs or anything, I will underspeed, but of course it's a bulky Annihilate and it's on a team with Trick Room, so yeah, it's no speed investment. Quillfish goes down early. That's kind of bad, but it's not the worst turn of events. It was probably my least valuable team member after finding out that Annihilate has a non-contact coverage move for it, so honestly, whatever. Now at least I can bring in Dawnfan, and I would love to get off a spin here. Really want those rocks out of here. Annihilate does actually stay in. I was expecting to switch out, but it's just kind of a flimsy Ice Punch, so that felt like a good turn for me. Now though, John is going to switch out to Alomomola, and I went for a Rapid Spin again on this turn. Looking back on this, for the life of me, I don't know why I did that. I assume it was to outspeed something on the next turn, maybe like the Torn coming in, but I really should have just clicked a real damaging move. Or more importantly, I have Stealth Rock on this set. I would have loved to click that. That feels like a pretty big missed opportunity, honestly. Anyway though, I can't really let the Alomomola set up a wish for free. I worked so hard to chip down the Annihilate, and I don't want to wish past to it. So here I'm going to go into Ogerpon. This is going to prevent a free switch to Annihilate after this, while also threatening out the Alomomola anyway. That is going to pay off. It forces John to go into Colossal, and unfortunately I just whiff an Encore here. I think I was trying to prevent the Alomomola from going for a flip turn out, but yeah, given what happened, I should have just attacked. Hindsight, I guess, but I don't know if that Encore was the right play ever anyway. I am just going to go Greninja to threaten the Colossal. Not scared too much, and luckily it is just a Will-O-Wisp, which I don't really care too much about. And since John left Colossal in against Greninja before, I'm thinking he might do it again, so I'm just going to click Surf. It's going to do solid damage to anything anyway, and it is actually going to be the Stay In and Pasho Berry. That makes sense. Rocks go back up on my side, unfortunately, and now I am reasonably sure John's been preserving a lot to like wish it back up, so I think he's going to try to preserve the Colossal here for that purpose. He has exactly one water resist that he could switch in, so I can pretty easily just go Ogerpon, and I'll go there. Take rocks damage, unfortunately, but Leftovers mitigates it, and I do successfully catch the Alomomola. Once again, this is a pretty obvious switch out, so as the Tornadus comes in, I'm going to knock off the Boots. Good to know that that is what it had. That was a cute read, but now I am threatened out. I gotta go Tinkaton. Take minimal damage from a potential flying move, but John is just going to U-turn back out into the Alomomola, which means it's threatening a wish again into the Annihilate. I have to go Ogerpon to stop that possibility. And this time, just in case John gets any funny ideas, I am going to ID Cudgel just to ensure that the Annihilate isn't going to try to cheekily come in. But of course, if I'm going for Ivy Cudgel, it's just the Torn, which is going to take it pretty well. I figured out by now that that is a defensive Torn, unfortunately. Now here I'm thinking, well, John read the switch to Tinkaton once, who's to say he won't do it again? I really had it in my head that he would be going for Heat Wave on this turn, and I kind of bet the farm on that, because I'm going to switch to my 1 Fire Resist. Greninja comes in, and of course, it's just a Bleak Wind Storm. Tinkaton would have been fine. At the very least, I do get to click an unresisted Dark Pulse now. That'll be on the Colossal, which is finally sacked. Good to see that out of here. Unfortunately, Greninja is just so low on health, and we're down to Rocks next time we come in. And it's the Alomomola that comes in with the initiative. And just so we're clear, every time Alomomola has come in, I've had to switch to Ogerpon to prevent the Wish from going up into Annihilate. So logic would dictate that I need to continue doing that, but honestly, I think just out of impatience, I just go for a Dark Pulse here. I do have, and of course Wish is going to go up. It's going to Annihilate next turn. I can do literally nothing to stop that at this point. Yeah, I realized immediately after I played this that it was a pretty big misplay. But I will salvage what I can. Because I know Annihilate is switching in on this turn, I might as well go Ogerpon, which looks like the best bet at beating that thing. And of course, as I switch in, there it is, getting all of its health back. That's so much progress down the drain, that hurts. My Qwilfish went down for nothing, essentially. At the very least, I can read the automatic switch out to Tornadus by going for a U-turn out. And here, I think I'll be able to get something cooking. Let's go Regieleki, and because Tornadus is the last thing that can actually wall Ogerpon, a switch is definitely coming here. Yep, Annihilate comes in, and I get up a free Reflect. So now it's looking significantly less threatening, and I can figure out a game plan a little bit. So essentially, at this point I think I need the combination of Ogerpon and Regieleki to win the game. Ogerpon is my only mon left that can KO the Annihilate reliably, while Regieleki is needed to handle the Tornadus. I just need to line those KOs up, which will be tough. I'm going to need to call a lot of switches with my own switches, but I think I might be able to manage it. One thing though, I definitely need to remove those rocks to make that endgame happen. If this is going to be a positioning war, I absolutely can't be taking that hazard damage, can't be taking any extra chip. So I think the plan right now is to bring in Donphan, who can take multiple hits through Reflect, and go for a spin so that Regieleki and Ogerpon can continue pivoting. I mean, heck, that even means Greninja can come in one more time to fire off a Specs attack before going down to Burn, I believe. So that Rapid Spin looks really good right now to open up my options. So we're going to bring Donphan in, and Rage Fist crits. So yeah, it goes without saying that's pretty bad. That's a lot of my plan down the drain. I really clung on to the idea that I could maybe spin on the Alomomola later or something like that. So here's something crazy. I go all the way out into my Ogerpon, and I just take a bunch of damage from another Rage Fist. Since I just established that Ogerpon is necessary to win this game, that was a pretty dumb play, but at least I'm in a good position here. Now, watch me squander it by U-turning as Annihilate stays in. That was an incredibly bold play on John's part. It paid off. Obviously, looking back at this, I wish I had Ivy Cudgeled there, but I thought there was no way he could stay in and risk his only Regieleki answer on that. Like, I think I would have just won the game on the spot with Regieleki if I had KO'd the Annihilate there. But I got called out on my U-turn. Honestly, hats off to John for that one. I did have to sack something here. Might as well be Donphan, which is at so low health, it doesn't matter. I think it probably should have been Gren here, just because there was literally nothing it was doing if I was sacking Donphan anyway. But whatever, right? At this point. And with that sack, we're just going to bring Ogerpon back in. There's actually no way this time John would stay in a second time on the Ogerpon, so yep, there's the pivot to Tornadus on the U-turn. Still really regretting that missed opportunity on the Ivy Cudgel window on the Annihilate. That was so bad, but hey, we live and we learn here. We're going to go take a ton to check the Tornadus, and while we're at it, let's make one more bad read as it U-turns out into the Iron Treads that comes onto the field for the first time, and it is immune to the Thunder Wave. I was just trying to slow down the Tornadus, but of course it was going to U-turn out if it didn't have Heat Wave, which it hasn't shown yet. And there are two ground types and an Alomola, none of which care about Thunder Wave. I am just not playing the best right now. Anyway, I guess with this Iron Treads on the field, I sack something. It's going to be Greninja, which was going down anyway, so it's fine. And with that, I can bring Regieleki in. I do have one more turn of Reflect left, so I can safely 2-hit KO the Treads at least. Go for that Terra Ground, Terra Blast, and I'm not going to take too much from Earthquake in return. It's significant, but I live, you know. Iron Treads goes down and it's 3v3, but of course not for long, because Annihilate is able to just come in and claim another KO. I established that Regieleki and Ogerpon are required to have any semblance of winning this game, so it looks like the sack is going to be Tinkaton. And then, of course, it goes down to Rage Fist. Here, my line of play is very simple. I have to go Ogerpon, and John's line of play is also very simple. He actually sacks Alomomola. I was going to U-turn off the Torn, but this works too. He's just going to sack it to the Regieleki Thunderbolt. Regieleki's on the board with 2 KOs at least, but of course with Annihilate coming in, it's just going to Rage Fist, claim a KO, and at the very least, I do live the rocks with Ogerpon, and John's going to be kind enough to let this be a 1-0 instead of a 2-0 loss for me, because he's going to sack the Annihilate. And Torn comes in, there's absolutely nothing I can do to it. So that is going to be it for the quarterfinals. I am taking a 1-0 loss to Hitmonjon. So yeah, that battle could have gone better. I think I outlined my misplays pretty well when they happened, but overall I was not particularly careful about preserving my resources, while my opponent was taking every opportunity to preserve his. I can point to the crit on Donphan as a large factor in my loss, but I think me just letting the Annihilate get a free wish, as well as throwing Greninja and Ogerpon into so much unnecessary damage, those were so much more impactful in my loss at this battle, and that's only describing the in-battle plays. Prep could have been better. Qwilfish didn't end up doing too much, especially with the Annihilate being Terra Ground, and I was even expecting Terra Electric, so yeah, maybe Qwilfish wasn't the play. Honestly, Furrygraph, with that weakness policy set I had described in the team builder, could have gone really hard here. It's too bad that I didn't go for it, because, you know, maybe it would have done something. But that's how the game goes, you know. That's going to do it. GG to Hitmonjon. He played extremely well here. I don't think this counts as a spoiler because I'm uploading this so late, but spoiler alert, if you don't know already, John will end up making it to the finals in this season, where he narrowly loses to Steve Chuck. So he made a really good showing this season. We'd love to see that. As for me, I'm a little disappointed that I didn't make it further, considering how much I love this team and how I'm probably never going to get to use free Terra Regieleki again. But hey, made it to playoffs as the 2nd seed, I think, so I'm okay with that performance. That's all I have for you today, though. Now I'll be done with videos for a little while, although I did get invited to another Wi-Fi league that should be starting sometime in November, so maybe stay tuned for that. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.